This episode of the Oh No 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 podcast is sponsored by Dynamic Industrial Services, the rope access specialists. As long-time Raith Rovers supporters, we are very familiar with ropey performances. But if you need a service that's more Sam Stanton than Willie Accio, look no further than DIS. Operating across Scotland, they specialise in working at height, offering maintenance, inspection, repairs and more. So if you've got a problem at a height that even John Fredrickson can't reach, visit dynamicindustrialservices.co.uk to find out more.
Hola a todos y bienvenido al No 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 No. Wait, sorry, my Scottish accent's getting really bad there. Welcome back to the Oh No 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 podcast, where tonight I'm your host, Robbie Weir, and delighted to be joined by an assortment of Rovers fans looking ahead to tomorrow's game against Stranraer. And we look back as well, of course, to our win against Stirling last weekend. So, firstly, Callum Blythe, how you doing, Callum?
I've had a wonderful few days. We've had Rovers competitive football back, Spain beating England in the Euros, and I have managed to reach 1,000 subscribers somehow on YouTube.
Congratulations on that. So, we're also joined by Scott Fleming, signed in from the Netherlands temporarily, but you're going to be back soon, Scott?
Yeah, all good. Coming back soon, so I'll get the Hamilton game and when I'm back. So looking forward to that. But hopefully we're in a position by that point to hopefully get out the group as well. But we'll see how the next couple of games go before that.
Fingers crossed. And finally, we've got a new guest arriving this evening. We've got Ally joining us. Ally, how are you doing?
Doing very well, mate. It was great to get along to Stirling and get back to some proper football at the weekend.
Good stuff. Better than that Euros nonsense. I'm just going to stick with you firstly, Ally. Obviously, new addition to the podcast here. Just wanted to get a bit of your thoughts on sort of the summer business and sort of your feeling about the club over the last year in general, as we tend to do with all our newer guests.
Oh, geez, where do you start? It's been a hell of a last year. I think the best way that I can describe how far the club feels to have come in the last year is the sheer number of well-kept faces that I've seen in the terraces, in the 200 Club, in the Novara, etc., who probably had drifted away from the Rovers over the last, 10 or so years, especially kind of people that would be our peers. It just wasn't the kind of thing to do on a Saturday. But, even at Stirling at the weekend, I saw a number of people who I hadn't seen for years in the new home top, in the new away top, smiles on their face, and everybody's absolutely buzzing for it. I think, with the new ownership seemed to have really galvanised that. And I think this is probably the most positive that I've been coming into a season since I've started supporting the Rovers. And I think the new signings have been spot on, exactly what we needed. Got a good bit of experience, some younger guys to the future. I'd like a striker. I think everybody else would like another one in. Happy with what we've got, but it can always improve. So, just really positive and delighted to be on the podcast. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's delighted to have you on. And we were talking about off camera there. So you're involved with Neighbours of Geordie Munro. So just a bit about the group.
Yeah, that's right. So, we're just a supporters group. We're started by a group of guys like Martin Christie, Cammy Fraser, my dad Collis, decided to sponsor a home game in 1991, the last home game of the season. And every year we've done the same thing. So it's been running for, 34, 35 years now. And it's just a group of like-minded individuals who just want to get involved, volunteering, backing the Rovers and sponsorship, etc. We've got a fan twinning as well with some of the lads out in Ingolstadt, making use of the town twinning. We went out 10 years ago. We timed it brilliantly with the day that they got first promoted to the Bundesliga, and we've been back out a number of times since then. Myself and Scott were both out for the Euros. We stayed in Ingolstadt, and we've just been continually building that friendship. So yeah, just a group of like-minded fans, really.
Brilliant. No, yeah, it's always great to hear the sort of backstories with these groups and the people that are involved, and to sort of hear their perspectives. So we're going to take a really, really flying visit along to Stirling now and look back at last Saturday's game. So Rovers lined up with Big Kevin goals. We had Stevenson and Freeman as the wing backs, with Murray and Fordyce playing centre back. There was no Paul Hanlon, who missed out with sort of like a slight hip injury. Scott Brown and Sean Byrne featured sort of in the holding roles, with Dylan Easton and Aidan Connolly on the flanks. Sam Stanton sort of more number 10, and then Callum Smith led the line. So Scott, what were your thoughts when you saw the starting 11?
Yeah, I was happy enough with the team that Murray put out. I was a wee bit surprised he didn't actually start with Hamilton, just because it's kind of the way that he looked to be setting up anyway in pre-season. So I just assumed that he probably would go with Hamilton. But no, Smith obviously scored at Montrose, so fair enough. He got his start, and obviously he played his part in one of the goals as well. So now, in terms of the team, I think right now we've kind of went for a fairly similar team most of the time. Obviously, with Mullen and Connolly maybe switching out for each other, or Fordyce and Hanlon switching out, but everybody else has kind of been the same that's been playing most weeks in pre-season. So and it was good, obviously, to see also for another sort of 10 minutes, see the likes of Montague, Lewis Gibson, stuff like that as well. But I expect, obviously, we'll go on to lineups and stuff for the Stranraer game, but I expect these guys to get a bit more game time in these last few League Cup games, because at the end of the day, we still need to get guys ready for that first league game away at Airdrie.
Yeah, that was something that really jumped out at me. If you listen to Aidan Connolly's interview with Davey, he was talking about how there's going to be a lot more squad rotation, particularly in the wide positions this season. Callum, were you quite happy that Ian Murray decided to sort of stick with the more experienced guys in there, or what were your thoughts when you saw the lineups there?
I was fairly happy to see it go an experience route, just because, you know, it's the first competitive game, so you sort of want to have a sense of continuity. It's like you can bring in Hanlon, Gibson, everyone else that's brought in. That needs to be at like later dates, just to like get them ready for the season ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I think that again, it was. I was a bit surprised to see Sean Byrne in there from the start, just ahead of Ross Matthews. But no, I definitely agree with the sentiment that getting these guys sort of ready for the season ahead's very important. And we absolutely flew out the gates in terms of this one for Rovers. So when 25 minutes, we were 2-0 up with very similar goals there. Well worked moves down the left-hand side. So really seeing, Ally, the sort of immediate impact from Lewis Stevenson there.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I think I was particularly keeping an eye on him and Easton to see how they were going to link up down that side, because and the impression that I get early doors is that we might finally have someone that can marshal Dylan Easton properly, in that he can kind of read what Easton's going to do. And also I noticed at one point early on when Stevenson had the ball, looked to play it up the line, and Easton had done his thing where he likes to drift inside and off for it, and Stevenson was looking to play it up that left-hand side and had to just go for it beyond Easton, and he let Easton know where he wanted him to be after that. But I mean, like the ball through, I think it was for the second goal for Smith from Stevenson, it just takes 3 or 4 players out. Brilliant ball along the ground, 40 yards, and then we're in with a 1-2, and it's a great ball to the back post. And that kind of incisive play from the kind of deep line fullback position is something we've maybe been missing a wee bit of. It was just brilliant. He's a class above the rest of the players sometimes.
Yeah, Scott, just to come to you now, do you think it was obviously very noticeable that we've sort of targeted that approach, and just your thoughts on the first 2 goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew coming into this season that guys like Lewis Stevenson, Paul Hanlon, they're going to come in, show that they are probably a bit above the championship, but obviously just how things ended at Hibs, they've ended up worse, and yeah, thankfully we got them. But I think we are going to see a lot of the time when we are playing down either the left, and also when Hanlon plays beside Stevenson as well, they've played beside each other probably for over 400 games together. So you're going to see that link up. These two are going to be communicating. They're going to be communicating to the guys in front of them as well. And guys like Easton, he'll still be learning, even though, what is he, 30? 29, 30? He'll be learning plenty off like Sir Lewis and Hanlon and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, Easton's never really played at the top flight level. So he's still got to learn, obviously, if he likes to do his own thing, but at the end of the day, if Stevenson's telling him to go and do something, it's probably for the right reason. He's not just going to be shouting at him for no reason. So I think stuff like that, it will... I mean, we've still got, 3 weeks until the start of the season, like, officially. I think you're just going to see it getting better and better week by week as they keep training together, as they keep doing different possession-based stuff and then in games as well. But I think... I do think that Saturday was ideal, that it was against a lower league team that probably was going to sit off us and allow us to play a little bit and hope to just kind of nullify what we could do. But the fact that we got 2 goals within the first 25 minutes kind of then opened the game up, and it actually helped us more than anything as well. But no, I do think that Stevenson's going to be a really, really good signing.
I think it's a really valid point that you make there about particularly the game opening up, because I think the one positive about the League Cup is that with the bonus points, that if a club can sort of mount a comeback, then they get themselves into a position where they're not just getting 1 point if they can win a shootout as well. So it really does force them into to sort of play the game. Callum, again, going back to that Aidan Connolly interview that David did, a lot would be made sort of before about Aidan Connolly not getting a pre-season last season just due to injury and having to work his way back. And Aidan Connolly, to be honest, he was very, very transparent in that interview and sort of said, to be honest, by January I was full fitness. It's just been one of those seasons. So are you hoping that this is sort of more that we've seen in Aidan Connolly from a couple of seasons ago when he was really just taking teams to the sword by himself and really shown what he can do?
I really hope so, because I think it was after the Airdrie game in the Challenge Cup where I did say it's like we're missing the Aidan Connolly from like League One, where he was doing what he did today week in, week out, same with the last season. It's like last season it just didn't happen for him, and of course, he didn't get a full pre-season, and so if a performance like today can carry on throughout the whole season, I'll be a very happy chappy.
Absolutely. I don't think you'll find anyone that disagrees, especially if he's getting a hat-trick on his opening day. Then you're really going to struggle to be living up to that. So we'll not hold him to that, but if he does keep chipping in with the goals here and there, then I'm sure we'll be absolutely fine with it. So that took us on to half-time, so we're comfortably in control at 2-0. And then 20 minutes into the second half, Ally, it's really a free kick that's worthy to win any game, and a match ball as well for Aidan Connolly. So, just what was the view from the stands, that one, seeing that sail into the net? Derek Gaston absolutely planted, which we don't usually say often.
Yeah, there was nothing better than watching Gaston see it going whizzing past his left. I would give a shout out, to be fair, to Dylan Easton for drawing the foul and inviting it in and winning the free kick on the edge of the box. Davey, I think it was Davey and Jim, was it on Raith TV in the commentary? When I looked at the highlights, they made that point, and they were right. It was the guile he had to invite it in, knowing it was a good position. I thought actually, based on where they were standing, that Easton was going to be the one hitting it, even though Connolly was on the hat trick. But no, he let Aidan have it, and we know he's got it in his locker. There was a few times last year where he set himself up for it, and it didn't quite come off. But I think the confidence of having the 2 goals already, he fancied himself, and it was a peach.
I think there's no other way to categorise it other than being pretty much a perfect free kick. There was no other way that you could put it. I'm going to ask you a bit more of a hypothetical question here, Scott, because over the years we've had some very, very good free kick takers for Raith Rovers. So you think about Lewis Vaughan, you think about Ryan Conroy, Robert Sloan, etc. Where would you put Aidan Connolly in terms of if you were doing a tier list for free kick takers at Raith Rovers, like one of those daft YouTubers, Callum, no offence, where would you put Aidan Connolly in terms of your tier list for Raith Rovers free kick takers? Because now that we're looking back, he's actually got a good number of them, and there's a fair few belters in there.
Oh, who have we got? We got Voney as well. Vaughan's number one every day of the week. But I would have Connolly second.
What about you, Scott? Where would you have him?
I think I would probably tend to put Connolly maybe just top now. I think just the fact that I think he's probably scored the most out of all of them. And I think if you're going by proper like technique and everything, I would have probably said Ryan Conroy because I'd seen him doing it for other teams as well. And the free kicks that I'd seen him taking for us, he only scored I think maybe one or two, but he just his delivery every time, if it wasn't like a direct free kick, was on the money as well. So I would probably go Connolly just in terms of the fact that he's probably scored the most, but Conroy in terms of his technique would definitely be up there. Vaughan, I've seen Vaughan blaze quite a few over the bar, to be fair. So I think he can just stick to being in the box and sticking it in the back.
Ammer's another one, actually. Jamie Gullen. He was good for a free kick goal.
He's been shown Dundalk anyway what he can do with a set piece. So,
Ali, you want to weigh in with your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I can tell you who it's not. It's not Denis Prichanchenko, who I think managed to nearly sky it over the Penguin stand with his penalty on his debut. And I think he came with a reputation from Hearts of being a bit of a set-piece master. And I remember everybody sitting in the stand going, oh, getting ready for it. And then it was a perfect, I don't know, conversion at rugby maybe. I kind of tend to agree with Scott. Ryan Conroy is my go-to for set pieces and free kicks. But now you've asked the question, I think Aidan Connolly might hit the best. No one seems to be able to tuck it in that on the left foot over the wall and across himself into that far top right corner.
Because he does get some amount of dip on them as well. Yeah. That's the thing. He gets a really good height on them.
Even if you watch that one from the weekend, it dips at just the right moment. It looks like it's maybe going to go just over or hit the woodwork, and it just curves and dips perfectly into that top corner. So yeah. Now,
seeing the Twitter responses and the YouTube comments, whatever, what I want to see is people, because we are very biased towards modern players, so what I would really like to see is, historically, your free kick takers from the 60s, 70s, 80s, get them in. I'm intrigued to hear about stories of the past, about who we had there. And yeah, other than that, in the second half, I think the main moment was a sort of new viral clip that went out with Derek Gaston's gardening skills. What did you make of that, Callum?
Oh, it was a great laugh. I wasn't at the game, unfortunately, but it's like I'm just, scrolling through Twitter, or whatever. I just see game being paused due to a hole in the pitch. It's like, wouldn't get that on Astro, would you?
I did enjoy the referee when you listen to the pitch side mics that they've got for inside match day, and the referee said, "You wouldn't want your ankle going in there." It was like, okay.
It's so funny with the pitch side mics as people hurling abuse at Gaston while he's filling in the pitch.
Making questionable accusations about how happy he keeps his wife or girlfriend was the shout that I heard. But just a very strange incident, especially on the first day of the season when you would expect your pitches to be sort of good condition. But again, I suppose that
so
might be the case. 100%, absolutely back. So yeah, really that, again, a very whistle-stop tour of a game against Stirling in the League Cup. So 3 points to start to kick us off with, which, again, we've seen these games in the past where it's very much been a case where we've toiled or we've lost out to teams like Cove or dropped points elsewhere, lost on penalties and that sort of thing. So a really solid start. Has anyone got any sort of closing thoughts about the game or anyone in particular that want to call out in terms of positive performances?
Can I just say, when it comes to, I've watched the highlights like 2 or 3 times now, and see when Stirling are attacking, the defence looks like so calm with Fordyce and Stevenson back there now, and it's like we've got Hanlon to add in that as well, so that's encouraging, and also corners.
I think to expand on that, Callum, as well, I think it's worth pointing out that Scott Brown as well, that was someone that got called out by Raith TV in particular, and you see that as well with the clip that they put out about, like, he's back to his biting best in midfield. Not that he dropped his standards last season, but you could see him with the classic sort of Gattuso style, tearing about the pitch, just winning the ball and getting it off to someone else. Like, just a relentless pursuit in terms of retaining possession.
We had on Scott Brown, I had my father-in-law across from Ireland. It was his first Rovers game. And after about 30 minutes, he turned and asked me, what position does that guy actually play? Because he's everywhere on the pitch.
He covers every blade of sand. That was it. So we'll turn our attention to tomorrow night's game. As I say, we're going to keep this for once we are going to keep it short and sweet for these ones because, again, a very quick turnaround time with games. Scott, we've got your namesake coming to town, Scott Agnew. Very familiar foe there, obviously performed miracles against us time and time again for the likes of Dumbarton and Ayr and then East Life as well. What are you expecting in terms of the Stranraer team? They had put in a very positive performance against Ross County at the weekend, but ultimately didn't get a result there. What are you expecting?
Well, first, there's another set piece taker for you, Scott Agnew, because he certainly could score a few. No, I think obviously Murray kind of touched on it in his post-match interview that he's been happy to see Scott Agnew into management now after he had a short stint as an assistant was. But he clearly done an alright job last year because, at the end of the day, his job was to keep them in the league and he did it, albeit it was an extra time and right at the death, but at the same time, he's done what he asked. And yeah, I couldn't say that I know loads of the players are in and they're not quite what they used to. Even when we were in League One and kind of jumping between the championship, you still kind of knew some of the players at Stranraer. Doesn't seem to be the case these days. These days it's kind of guys that they've either pulled out of sort of the West of Scotland League or maybe guys out the Lowland League that maybe think that they can get that little bit of jump out of them. But no, I think it'll be a case of just, again, I'm expecting us to have all the ball, having to break them down. They'll probably play a 5 in the middle just to try and stop us playing as much as they can. But at the end of the day, I think that we should just have too much in them. I know we'll go into the lineups and stuff, but I could see Murray making changes just to the fact that we've got to go up to Dingwall on Saturday as well, and he won't be wanting to obviously get anybody running out on empty already after 3 games in a week sort of thing. So I think you could see a few changes in this game for sure.
100%. I think that, Ali, I was just going to ask you, looking at Stranraer signings, they seem to be a real mixed bag. I think they've had a couple of players maybe in from League One, a few from League Two, and then Lowland League in Ireland. So really just pulling from all over the shop. So do you think that makes it a bit more tough to predict? I know that was one of the questions sort of put to Ian Murray going into the Stirling game that you've not really had a chance to analyse. Obviously, I've had the game against Ross County was on Premier Sports on their streaming thing, so I'm sure they'll have had someone keeping tabs on that. But do you think as a fan going into it, it's quite hard to expect what you'll be looking for from Stranraer?
Yeah, I think so. They obviously had a pretty poor season last year, so Agnew seems to be going through a bit of a rebuild, and like you say, he's pulling in players from all sorts, not necessarily the best level. It's one of those where you don't know if they're going to come and, like Scott says, pack the midfield, set up shop, try and sit in, dig in, and maybe just hope to hit on the counter, or whether they're a team that we can open up and put a good few past. I'm confident that we can get a win, but they're not a team that I know too much about. You can only really go on the fact that we're 2 leagues above. We just played against Stirling Albion, beat them comfortably. We looked levels better than them. I anticipate that we'll look levels better than Stranraer. I think it was when I was listening to the last podcast, one of you mentioned that, when teams in the lower leagues have an issue where they've got less time to get a squad together, they're bringing new guys in, there's less continuity. I think that Stranraer are probably still going to be in that phase and we can hopefully exploit it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that it's a very valid point, especially you look towards the way that their season ended as well. I'm sure their fans will be hoping that there was going to be sort of wholesale changes and that Agnew could do some business and make some. And they've kept a good degree of them, but really ultimately it was a squad that was on the rocks. And that game against the first game at K Park, apparently East Kilbride absolutely battered them, and they had no idea how they got through to the second one. And then that game at Stair Park, the second leg, just sounded absolutely bonkers. Like, I don't know if you have caught I remember talking about it at the time, saying if
The
you can't
goal that
watch the
Stranraer
highlights
scored
for it.
that day was unbelievable.
Oh, it was ridiculous. And again, that's the League Cup as well that could potentially happen. And if you give them a half chance and then you see something like that and then a club's talking about it for years to come. We already saw that last season with Ali Adams at Stranraer, Arbroath, so you never know. Callum, we've obviously got a few returning players for this one. Liam Dyke will be back available. We've got the young lads that came on as well. And then Paul Hanlon, it's obviously had that hip injury, whether he'll be back for full fitness. Do you think Ian Murray's going to really look to ring the changes with this one, given that we've got the game against Ross County that's really going to be one of the bigger games in the group coming on Saturday? Or what would be your thoughts on that?
I feel like this game's definitely one to give players minutes because it's like we want to have the best available fully fit squad for Ross County because that's the big one. That's the Premiership team. So no disrespect to Stranraer, but of course they finished bottom in League 2 last season, managed to stay up by the skin of their teeth. So they are like the prime candidate for just like anyone who's needed minutes, chuck them on. Anyone who's needed a rest, put them on the bench or whatever, just in case. But yeah, as you're saying, it's like this is the League Cup group stages. Like anything can happen. Like East Fife battered Morton 3-0, Falkirk beat Dundee United 2-0. It's like these results can happen, but I think we've got the strength and depth to hopefully avoid those sort of results.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because I think if you drop points in a game like this one, it does become a lot more difficult because you look at that Morton result at the weekend and automatically their fans are saying it's very, very difficult for us to get into the next round of the cup if you drop points in a game like that. So yeah, all to play for tomorrow night. Hopefully we can get a good attendance along and a performance that will be very positive. So I'm just going to go round the houses now. So just Ali, have you got a starting 11 there at all lined up, or did you get a chance to?
I do, yeah, I do.
Aye.
So I've gone formation-wise, I've gone bold, and I've gone 4-4-2 with a diamond in the middle. I refuse to subscribe to the Scott Fleming, Duncan Cameron formation cult of 4-2-3-1. I've been hearing it for a year, and I'm shaking things up a wee bit. I went for Dabrowski in goals, obviously, and I stuck with the same back four. Someone said online that Hanlon was struggling with a wee bit of a tightness or an injury. If there is truth in that, I don't think it's a game to risk him in. I think the back four that started at the weekend was solid enough. I've put Scott Brown in front of them to give Sean Byrne a rest. I've got Stanton at the front of the diamond, Connolly out wide. I'm undecided between Easton or whether this is a game to give Lewis Gibson a run out. I think that he's proven with good performances in League One last year that he could play against this calibre opposition. And then I've actually gone for two up top, Smith and Hamilton. I think we might as well try it. And I think that Jack Hamilton, fans seem to have a goal in him. He's been getting a little bit of flack online. I think Smith up alongside him might be a decent option, and we'll see how they work together. So yeah, I think a bit more of an attacking formation.
See, talking about flack online, I'm so petty. I am like exactly the type of person where as soon as I saw Connolly banging the second, I was like, I hope the guy that was sitting beside me or behind me at East Fife that was slaughtering Connolly for miscontrolling passes, I hope that he's having a lovely afternoon. Just not something I can get behind. Callum, just your lineup.
I don't have one, but as Ali was pretty much saying, it's like players like Gibson, Montague, Hamlin, Dick maybe. Could see Dick coming on. That's pretty much what I expect. Just a couple of changes here and there. So
I don't think we're going to see that many changes. I think we'll see a few adjustments. And for Scott, what about for you?
Well, I've made loads of changes just because I want to see us use the squad. I just want us to use everybody before the first day of the season, because then we know who can play where, who can play with who, and I would rather we do it now than get to Airdrie away and go, oh, we need to make a sub, and can he play with him? And is obviously they'll work out in training and stuff, but so I think this is the only game we would be able to get McNeil in goal. So I've got him in goals for tomorrow night. I wouldn't expect either him or Kev to be busy tomorrow, so I think it's just a game to get him some minutes, and whether he gets to make a few saves or whatever, we'll see. I've got Hanlon down, but with a question mark, obviously, of if he's not fully fit, don't bother risking him. I've actually brought in Liam Dick to start as well. I would just let Lewis Stevenson get a rest and be ready for Dingwall on Saturday, to be honest. And obviously Freeman and Fordyce as well. Then I've dropped Burn to the bench again just to give him a rest. Then I've got Bruni and Matthews in the middle, with Mullen coming in on the right, Stanton at 10, Lewis Gibson on the left. Again, just I think, as Ali touched on, he's been playing in League One, so I think he should be absolutely fine against somebody like Stranraer, and I would expect that he'll be looking to take on his fullback at basically every opportunity as well. And then I've got just the fact that Smith started at the weekend. I've went with Hamilton just to get him a start. And guys like Hamilton, Stanton, Bruni, I would give them all 60 minutes and then take them off and just get them ready for Dingwall as well. I mean, you've got 5 subs to use. You might as well use them all as well. So, and I would probably bring the likes of Montague on for longer, and likes of maybe even Callum Hanna, to be honest, for Dicko at some point. Give him some minutes as well. But it all comes down to if it's 0-0 at 60 minutes, then we've got to go for the win, obviously. But yeah, as I say, I've made a few changes, but we'll see what Murray goes for.
I think it's funny looking at your lineup, because it's not quite as extreme in terms of the changes. I would have maybe kept in the likes of Byrne. Maybe I've played Montague other than Stanton. Would have had Deco in from the start. McNeil's one that is worth a thought because he has performed well in the Cups before. He's shown himself to be a good deputy. And yeah, I would bring in Hamilton from the start. So we'll just do a round of predictions now, lads. Ali, we'll just start off with you. What are you going with score-wise?
I'm going to go for 4-0, which sounds a bit extreme.
I'm the same. 4-0.
I think Stranraer are going to sit in a bit, and I fancy us to get an early goal like County did against them, and then I think we'll kick on from there. I think I went for the lineup. He's going to start, I think, stronger, and then if we can get a couple of goals, we might ring on the substitutes. Yeah, I'll go 4-0, and I fancy Hamilton to get at least a goal.
Scott?
Well, I was going to go 4, but just to be different, I'll say 5.
Right, well,
I definitely, I can see us scoring quite a few, and just, yeah, I think, as Ali says, if we get an early goal, Stranraer then can't just sit back. They'll have to go for it after losing the first game as well. Not that they were expecting to get out this group anyway, but like, you might as well have a go now. If you're not going to have a go now, when are you going to have a go, sort of thing?
Tell you what, if we get this one wrong, lads, we're going to get an absolute bodying off Stranraer TV. Callum, what is your prediction for the game?
1-0 Stranraer. I'm sorry. I mean, 3. I think it'll be same as at the weekend. I think it'll be a 3-0 win, but one that is just really comfortable. It's like watching the highlights back. It's like, how was it only 3? I think it'll be one of those games again.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's hoping you and your conservative predictions at 3-0. Come on. No, I think it's a fixture where all Rovers fans will sort of look at and be hopeful that we can put on a performance and get a few goals there without being demeaning or disrespectful to Stranraer, because I'm sure they'll see it as an opportunity after a good performance against Ross County of being able to sort of carry that forward. Shall we close the episode off with a quick round of Should McStay or Should Dargo?
Why not?
Why not?
Okay.
Right.
Why? Yeah, the basic premise, I've got 6 clues related to a past or present Rovers player, and each time each person gets to put a bid in. You'll probably know the drill by now, but yeah, let's begin. So clue number 1, I am 27 years old.
Not pop flat back.
Do we have any opening bids?
27. Yes, 27. I feel like that's an age that none of our squad right now is actually at. Everybody's either about 30 or like really young. So
I don't know the age
I'm
of
actually
anyone.
going to rule out this season. Actually, no, he might be 27. I'll go Liam Dick.
Callum? Ally? Any opening bids?
Drawn a complete blank on every Rovers.
I am the same.
And I'm normally pretty good when I'm listening to this at home.
The studio lights have put you
I
under
know.
pressure.
No.
Tom Lang? Is he 27?
Tom Lang, you going with Tom Lang?
Is that the English one?
Scottish. The forensic analysis in our group chat after that was brilliant. Blair was providing all the receipts. He was.
I think he's a wee bit younger, but I'll say Ryan Hardy because he's the only player I can think of.
I've made 28 appearances for Raith Rovers.
Okay. Probably one season then. I tell you what, that he won't be far off 27 and probably about the same amount of games. Ryan Hardy might not be a bad shout now.
You're no stealing my answer, mate.
Well, no, you if unless you give it up, then he's played one.
Johnny Court?
Johnny Court for Callum.
I don't think
Either of you two.
Well,
You
he
sticking
had
with Ally or are you
certainly.
changing?
Is that for me or Ali?
Yeah, either of you.
Right,
He's got an
I'm sticking. Even though I know he's played more than 28 games, I'm just going to stick with Deco.
Cool. Ally?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Ryan Hardy. I have no reason to change yet until your next clue nukes that.
I'm currently playing in the Championship.
Oof. Wonder which one. Oh, if it's English Championship, I think we've got a winner already.
Kevin Nisbet?
Nah.
Scott's shaking his
I
head.
genuinely have nobody. Yeah, you're just going to have to move on.
What about you, Ali?
I have a feeling that you mean the Scottish Championship, but again, there's not enough evidence for me to change my answer, so I'll stick with Ryan Hardy.
Fair enough.
Just generic Championship.
I played for 3 other teams in Scotland.
I'm going to stick.
Sticking with Kevin Nisbet.
It's really annoying me because we've not even been given a position yet. And that's where you can start going down a route of, right, you've ruled out at least loads of players by that point.
Any further bids?
So he's played for 3 clubs, including us, or 3 others, and then us.
3 others.
Right. I genuinely think this could be Ryan Hardy. Yeah, I mean, I know it absolutely is not Liam Dick, but I have no other answer.
I'm just putting you as not applicable now. And for you, Ali?
I still think you mean the Scottish Championship, but I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with Ryan Hardy.
I hope this ends up being one that you move now, and it turns out to be Ryan Hardy, because that would be hilarious.
I do have a connection to Stranraer, but I've never appeared for them.
Is Ryan Hardy born in Stranraer?
I feel like Kevin Nisbet scored against him, so I'm going to stick.
He's entrenched on his Kevin Nisbet answer.
This is horrendous. I think this is the worst one I've attempted it. Like, I genuinely have had no answers at any point.
You sticking with a non-applicable, Scott?
Because, I mean, when I look at it, it's somebody that should be really in the prime of his career right now, but I can't think of anybody that's sticking out that's should be, like, at that age. You should think that it's somebody that we would be talking about, or at least know about a fair bit.
Ali, what are your thoughts?
I'm growing less confident with every round, to be honest. You meant to get closer. I don't have a reason to tie Ryan Hardy to Stranraer, but I also can't think of anybody else that would fill that void. So
This is terrible.
by default, I'm
You're sticking with him by default.
I guarantee you
the
somebody's got
worst
like
one.
clue 3 and going, what absolute idiots this lot are.
And Scott, for you?
Me, literally, I don't have a clue.
We're going with Scott Fleming. Right. Clue 6. I spent 2 spells on loan, coming in under Ray McKinnon and Gary Locke, and John Hughes thought I wasn't great at training, but I was nice enough for his daughter to potentially date.
Yeah.
Surely.
Any changes?
No, I'm sticking.
Yeah, you'd be very well to stick, because that is the first time that's happened. First round guess, getting the McStay or Should Dargo. So, one appearance on and 100% success rate on Should McStay or Should Dargo. I think you're worthy of your crown there, Ali. So, congratulations.
Well, I think I'm going to retire on top.
Fair enough.
Even that clue too, I just thought 27, 28 games, that sounds awfully Ryan Hardy-ish.
Yeah.
It was funny because you could tell you were swivering, like you were very
Not going to lie,
confident,
see
and
if you
got a
gave
lot-
him up at any point, I was pouncing on Ryan Hardy because I was just certain it was.
It was the championship one where you were deliberately non-geographically specific.
Yeah, I didn't want to say he was a forward as well, and I didn't want to give the number of goals. That's why I completely avoided that, Scott, when I was doing it. Because, to be fair, I only drew that up like about 4 minutes before we were about to kick the show off. I was like, who could I do like tied to Stranraer? Because Ryan Hardy was born in Stranraer.
He had to have been. So I was like, what else has he done for Stranraer?
Also, gave gave Ryan Stevenson a set of Cammy Bell's goalie gloves because he'd been on loan from Rangers, and the Karsh pulled together for the game against Ayr. So yeah, that'll round us off for this evening. Nicely coming home, shall we say? Sorry, Bob. So yeah, that's that'll tie us up for tonight's episode. So thank you for listening to this quickfire episode by our standards of the Oh No 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 podcast. As ever, you can find us on Twitter. Make sure, much like Callum's seen recently, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're trying to still catch up on frantically. We've got the Etsy shop, and of course we have the Instagram, which is run by Carol. So yeah, thank you again for taking the time to listen, and we hope you enjoy tomorrow night's game. But in the meantime, bye for now.